Yeah.
Good morning, traders, and welcome to the Pirate Traders Morning Show. My name is Charles. Today I'm joined by Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing?
Good. Well, I guess I'm going to say good for the chat because they're not saying anything. Come on, chat. Get after it. All right. Well, I'm going to jump into some TA right away here and take a look at what happened yesterday in the market. I know you guys have heard me. I've been all week repeating the same thing over and over and over again, but it's really important to put things in context so you can make sense of what's happening. Okay. The market had momentum to the downside after it broke out of balance. That's context number one. Then on Monday, the market balanced inside the previous day's range. It went sideways. So that was an uncertainty day where the market could either go up or it could go down the next day. We just needed to wait and see. Very importantly, we had left behind an unfilled gap.
Charles, I don't see your screen. Is that just me? I don't see it on the YouTube feed.
Oh, good. Thank you for catching that. Yeah, that would definitely make me explaining things a lot easier. There it is. Okay. So once again, the market had momentum to the downside. We had a balancing day inside the previous day's range. Okay. So from there, it could have broke higher. It could have broke lower, but we had this unfilled gap on the ES down to 53.97. That was not filled on this day right here on Friday of last week. That's an important nuance to be aware of because that is what we call a when what should happens doesn't. So if there's something that is a high probability thing where the market is likely to do a thing and it doesn't do that thing when it has a chance to do it, it's kind of telling you the opposite. Okay. So when the next day, 2 days ago, the market made higher highs once again, made higher lows and had value overlapping to higher, that told us that the market was probably going to V-shape up out of here using what we call balancing with price. So you had momentum. You have to balance off that momentum. You can do it with price by reversing back to where you broke out before, or you can just use time going sideways at lower prices. Okay. So at the market open yesterday, everything looked bullish. It looked like the market wanted to continue higher, but it didn't do that. It did exactly the opposite. It turned around and with insane momentum, first thing in the morning, it went straight down. Okay. Then it turned around exactly at that previous day's low, right at Friday's low. It turned around and it did what we call a V-shaped recovery. Now, I know you're starting to get confused. I'm stacking a lot of different ideas on you, but just stick with me here. Okay. Let me expand out the last 3 days. So we make this low. This becomes an even stronger when what should happens doesn't. So now we've got it should have filled the gap from the first day, which it didn't do. The fact that it couldn't was a little bit bullish to see. Then the market came down here and reversed exactly at the previous day's low, which again, it should not have done that. It should have at least poked a little bit below that low from Friday to at least, try to see if it could get any new business down there. It didn't do that. And then it turned around and it V-shaped recovered out of there, meaning it went straight down and then it went straight back up again. This is the third day in a row where it's done that. It did it on Monday, where it went down and V-shaped recovered right out of it. It did it on Tuesday, went down, V-shaped right out of it, and it did it again on Wednesday. Okay? 3 days in a row of V-shaped recoveries. Why do I care? Why am I paying attention to these V-shapes? What do they matter? The V-shape is the market's way of telling you it doesn't need to do business lower, right? That every time it tries to go lower, someone steps in and buys that up. Okay, there is somebody hungry to go long down here in this area. They went long on this day because they didn't let the gap fill. They went long on this day, they went long on this day, and they went long on this day because of the V-shape. So somebody is buying these lows. They do not want this market to go lower. They do not want the market to come back and fill this gap. Okay, great. So that's the first thing to be aware of. The second thing is, Once the market,
Just to say as well, I mean, that means there's an appetite. It's not that they don't want it to go lower. They just have an appetite perhaps to strategically go long.
exactly, yeah, they see it as a good price. They see it as like the items on sale. And obviously we're not talking about the futures contracts. We're talking about the individual stocks.
Right.
Their favorite stocks, their Googles, their Amazons, their whatever is such a good price. They got to buy it. They don't want to miss their chance to build up the shares they want to hold into the end of the year. They're buying it now. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So those are the nuances to be aware of to start with, that the market has been trying to go lower and it just can't do it. It can't go lower. Somebody is stepping in and buying. That is bullish to see. So then you say to yourself, okay, Charles, I get it. The market is bullish. Buyers are stepping in. So what am I looking for next? What's the thing I'm looking to happen today and tomorrow to tell me how I should be trading? Well, first and foremost, because of this move down yesterday, I would say we were not balancing with price the way we thought we were, right? We thought on this day we were going to just straight up continue higher the next day, which would have been balancing with price. But this move lower first, this is where things get nuanced, makes this balance with time. It wasn't a lot of time, but it was balanced with time, which makes this move in the second half of the day, basically above that A period high, makes that a breakout of balance. Why is that important? Well, one thing is a breakout of balance leads to excess to the upside. When we broke out of balance here, what did we do? Continued lower, right? So a breakout of balance increases the odds that we're going to make a move to the upside, but it often pulls back down once again to test the balance area high before it makes that bigger move. Okay. So what does that mean for me this morning? Well, I'm bullish, bigger picture. As a swing trader, I'm bullish because they can't take the market lower, and that's bullish to see, right? Buyers are stepping in, but I will let them come all the way back down to basically the A period high, the opening price, the highs from Tuesday, this area in here around 5,500. I'm going to let them come back down into that, and I'm still going to be bullish. Okay. I'm still going to be assuming that somewhere in here, they're going to buy dips. And even if it gets all the way back down to 5,500, they will buy that. And then the market will make its move to the upside. So this morning, right out the gate, I'm going to see the market as a chop zone, basically from yesterday's high to, well, there's two ways you could look at it. You could look at the overnight low, or you could look at the base of the spike up from yesterday. So if you're more cautious, you're using the base of the spike. If you're less cautious, you're using the overnight low. And basically I'm saying between those two levels, I see it as chop, meaning I don't know which way it's going to break. If we get new selling below the overnight low, I'm looking for a move to test the base of the spike. If it doesn't reverse there, I'm looking for a move to repair the weak references at 55.26 and 55.23. If it doesn't reverse there, then I'm looking for it to come back down to 5,500. Okay. So I got to monitor for continuation lower. New selling below the overnight low is bearish, but it doesn't mean they're going to make a big move because the market bigger picture is bullish. Somebody will likely buy the dip somewhere in here and the market will reverse up and out. And
Charles, I just have to say, I mean, that's such a massive move to wait on. And I agree with you about waiting, but just the enormity of it just does kind of overwhelm me. At this point, you're looking at ES dropping 70 points and NQ dropping 300 points for that buying opportunity. I mean, these are just massive swings that just are blowing my mind. I mean, they're hugely entertaining and profitable, frankly, but
yeah,
they're just the scale right now. I can't believe the VIX isn't blowing up with it doing this right at the moment. Maybe because it's just straight lines.
It's crazy. It is. The volatility right now is crazy. It's not unusual. It's not like we've never seen the market do this before. It's just, it's very intense, the moves. So I would say if somebody's sitting at home right now and they're thinking, all right, I want to long this market, but I don't want to wait for a 70-point move to the downside first, you can short it below the overnight low. The point is to just not fall in love with that short, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know if it's going to go 10 points or it's going to go 70 points before it reverses. So you can short it and make money on the way down. Just be ready to get out of that trade very quickly because it could reverse at any moment. And if you're looking to get long, it's going to be difficult today because you don't know which of these levels is going to find support. So if you're waiting for it to come all the way back down to 5,500, it may not do it today. It may just find support up here and reverse and head right up. And so you miss your chance to go long. So yeah, if it comes down to 5,500, it's an unbelievably good long trade, but will it get there? Who knows? We got to wait and see.
Yeah. Or for NQ, just put your 300-point stop on there and, wait and see.
Go. Yeah. Definitely don't do that for the ES. But yeah, so that's what makes that's why these volatile moves happen the way that they do, because they really mess with traders, and not just us, with everyone, with bigger money managers and everyone. It really messes with them because you don't have time to make decisions. Human beings need time to process thoughts and figure out, should I be getting long here? Should I be getting short? Should I be taking some off the table? Should I be adding to my size? And when these moves happen this far, this fast, you're kind of paralyzed because you're like you say, do I just get in with a 300-point stop or what do I do here? So that's why it happens. It happens because it creates liquidity because people are chasing price both directions. So yeah, that's my take on the ES. Bigger picture as a swing trader, I'm very bullish. I could see it pull down to 5,500 without even breaking a sweat as a bull, because that would be a great place for those stronger hands to step in once again. Those, if there were any strong hands that didn't get in down here around 54, 20s, well, now they'll have their chance at the 5,500s when it pulls back in there. But I don't know that it'll make it. We may just straight up, we may get a gap and go this morning for all I know. We still got 15 minutes. So yeah, pretty crazy day. Let me just quickly look at the NQ and see if there's any nuances that are different there. Yeah, the NQ is already back to its previous balance area lows. That's insane.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I guess one of the things I'm wondering about it, would you say it just hit the low and then it swung back all the way back up into the channel, to the top of the channel? Is that really the question we're facing this morning? So it's going to bounce off the top of a channel?
Yeah, let me look at it on a daily candlestick and see what it looks like. I do see that, what you're talking about. Yeah. So that makes me slightly less bullish on the NQ than the ES because, this is your previous balance area in here. It was balanced by a channel up in here. You could also look at it as a balance area horizontal like this right here. And either way, both with the spike up yesterday and even more so with the overnight last night, you were trying to push back up into that previous balance. You were trying to push back up into that range. And then you look at that 45-degree angle on the overnight high and you just think, holy moly, that's a lot of selling, right? They just, every time they tried to poke higher, they just ran out of steam. So that's going to be a lot of resistance to work through today for the NQ. Also, the NQ left a lot of single prints behind yesterday. So I would say I'm less bullish on the NQ. I would say it's more likely they're going to pull back at least to the first set of single prints, at least down to 19,073, before they turn around and head back up.
Just a 200-point drop. Wow.
Yeah, it's the same thing as the ES. If they get resistance below the overnight low, you could short it, but I wouldn't fall in love with it. I would take profits into support for sure. But yeah, it does look like they need a little bit of a pullback. Now, if that doesn't happen, if what I'm saying should happen doesn't, if the market opens and it pushes right through that overnight range, well, then to the friggin' moon. This thing is very bullish. And let me see what would be a resistance above. Yeah, I would say these levels I've marked as nodes are pretty good. So resistance around 19,420 and then 19,508 if they get momentum to the upside today.
Right.
But yeah, I would agree with you that it looks like, they might need a little dip here on the Q. They may have already made the move.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
That or is, I don't know if it's really solidifying the impact of the interest rate next week. People are citing that the Fed's backing off of a 0.5 point increase and it will settle on a 1/4 point. That may be a factor. I mean, overnight, the ECB dropped its rate by a 1/4 point. European Central Bank did. So just having the U.S. follow suit, and maybe that's creating enough bullishness to have it keep going, because a 0.5 point increase would have made stocks less attractive, marginally so.
Yeah.
But all other things being equal. So maybe that's enough to keep it rising, frankly. The fact that they're solidifying on a 1/4 point increase as a consensus.
That's very possible. I mean, you know me, I don't really try to explain why the market does what it does, because I feel like it's a constant guessing game.
Yeah.
But I do like to trade the TA and recognize what's happening on the chart and what will that likely lead to next. And so, yeah, everything I'm seeing here is saying potential pullback today to test the momentum up, but I do think it's going to continue, maybe even to all-time highs.
Right.
In the months ahead. Do you have any news you wanted to cover today?
No, I mean, it was interesting that the ECB did drop its rate by a 1/4 point. So that's going to have an impact for them, and the U.S. will follow suit. So that's the main news that's going on. Oil is just bubbling around a bit, let's say. Unless somebody wanted to see something else, I'd love to see your analysis on oil quickly. But I don't see anything in the markets that's driving it. Unemployment claims came in line at 230,000 as opposed to 223,000, so it's perfectly in line. But
Okay.
that's what I've got for news.
Sweet.
I don't have much.
I see you got Window Trader. How are you liking it?
It's good. I'm getting used to it, and there's certain things I need to do a million things with it. So,
yeah, there's a lot of tweaking and a lot of playing around that you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you mentioned oil. Let's take a look.
Unless somebody else wants something, but yeah, it just seems to be a thing.
No. Okay. Yeah, so it looks like we are getting a bounce. So the last time we talked about it, I drew this trend line up here. And I said, if we get a bounce, we should be able to make that move to that trend line. It looks like that day, the market actually sold lower. So now you could draw another trend line basically from the last few days and just see, can they turn that into support? If they can turn that into support, I'd be looking for that bigger move up to 72. If they immediately start to smack the market down lower, I would just say it's too early, but I do think the market is going to find support in here and reverse pretty big. And I just would show people, look at what happened in here and the large reversals. Look at what happened in here and the large reversal in here, in here. So, when we start getting down to these 68 to 65 levels, whenever the market finds that bid, whenever it finds those buyers, it reverses fast. And you got to be in that trade to be able to profit off of it. So,
right.
Yeah, I think they're hammering out a low on oil.
Crazy.
That's just the way it is. All right, let's take a quick look at the chat, see if there's anything worth mentioning. Good morning to everyone. Cool beans. Knapp says, does the value at the lows
Ouch. Ouch.
somewhat
Ouch.
offset the V-shaped recovery? That's a great question. I don't say it offsets the V-shaped recovery, but I would say it increases the odds the market needs to pull back and test that momentum, right? So the fact that the value area is against the low of the day means it's not as bullish as it might seem. If it was really bullish, we would have spent enough time and brought in enough volume up here to get higher value. So yeah, it is a sign that the market needs to pull back, that it probably got itself overly long, overly fast, and it will need to cool off a little bit. But it does not, in my opinion, mean we need to come back for that low. Again, twice they tried to come for this gap. Twice they could not do it in a very exact way. So, fool me once, fool me twice, you don't get fooled again. Now, that being said, if the market comes back for the balance area high, we're calling that 5,500, and it doesn't find support there, well then, yeah, right back down to the lows once again. But the first assumption should be it will find support there because that is the higher probability. And that's what those multiple V's tell us. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll say goodbye. I am going to be live streaming on the public YouTube today. So if you have any friends you've been wanting to have check out the Brigade stream, send them a link to today's stream, and we will see you all there in about 8 minutes. Thank you, Paul.
So, Charles, just before you go,
Uh-huh.
my kids were telling me that koalas aren't actually bears.
Koalas aren't actually bears?
Nope.
Well, how
They
so?
don't have the right qualifications.
Gorgeous. Just beautiful. All right. Thank you, Paul.
All right.
And
Bye-bye.
we will see all of you tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.